Welcome, everybody. Today, I'm so excited to be presenting our 8-week continuation of the HR Disruptor Summit Fall 2021 series. And I am your moderator and host today, Jan Barlow. And my wonderful guest today is Chirag Segar, and he is from Mission Matters. So today, we're going to be talking about employee or consultant, right? Which one are you thinking about? You have so many options. A little bit of history with our HR Disruptor Summit. We are all about disrupting work, but really it comes down to reimagine work. We started HR Disruptor Summit last year. We had our first one last October of 2020, and it was such a great hit. We ended up doing a 12-week content marketing and event that led up to a 3-day online event that happened in June. And then we decided, you know what? We're going to do an 8-week event, spread it out a little bit, and then do a live stream every week. And this is where we are. So we're so excited that you have joined us today. And again, thank you so much for coming, Chirag. I just really appreciate what you're going to share with us. A little bit, when we talk about consultant or employee, it really doesn't matter what your tax category is. Again, 1099 or W-2, you still have this experience-rich skill set and gifts that you have acquired and been given and curated your whole life. And it's really time now to ask yourself, what are you going to do with it, right? Start living your legacy. Don't wait until you're dead, right? Don't leave a legacy. We're all about living it now. So what I love about our conversation today, and please let us know if you can hear us. Please type in the comments where you're listening from, and we'd love to make sure that you can hear us. What I love about our conversation today is we're really going to dive into how do we take your experience to the next level. You got all these gifts, you got all this experience. What do you do with it, right? Chirag and I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've always, either I worked for somebody, so I was an employee, but I always had a side business. And I'm always attracted to other entrepreneurs. So, of course, I sign up for mailing lists, I end up researching, and that's really how Chirag and I met, is through Mission Matters and what their program was. And so we started talking, and I said, oh my gosh, we need to have you on for the HR Disruptor Summit. We really want to help people realize that this is something that you can do, right? There are resources out there that can help promote you, that can help you get noticed. And it doesn't have to be thousands and thousands of dollars. It doesn't have to be so complicated that you feel overwhelmed. So I just am looking forward to this opportunity. Chirag, if you could just share with us, I just love your history and your background. And if you would be so kind as to share a little bit about your background.
Absolutely. So, hi everyone, Jen. Thanks for having me. Firstly, appreciate the time. So, just my background in a nutshell is I've been doing marketing, branding work for 12, 13 years now, and started my career actually working for a nonprofit. Did that as a volunteer for 4 years in college. I was officially one of the first employees, along with one of the co-founders. I moved to Chicago, lived there for 2 years, and was basically, we were teaching financial education to high school students. I mean, we were a 2-person team, so had to pretty much wear every single hat, and realized I actually really loved social media and marketing. And it's funny because social media in 2012, 2013, Facebook introduced advertising on that platform. And it was valued when they IPO'd at $100 billion. And I think like people.
And what year was that?
2012 or 2011, I think, when they IPO'd. It's been almost 10 years.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
And how much money was that?
$100 billion IPO.
With a B.
With a capital B.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
So I was sitting there wondering, and I think many people were too, of how is this this doesn't make any sense. And I didn't really understand the advertising side until they introduced advertising on their platform. And I remember this vividly. We actually spent maybe like $50, something like that, on some ads. We were running a crowdfunding campaign, trying to fund Indiegogo, and we spent a little bit of money on some Facebook ads, and we got a lot of people that looked at it. I think it resulted in actually some money. We got actually a little bit more money than we put in, and we tried that experiment a few more times, and then a light bulb went off, and I realized, oh wow, we're asking for donations. Imagine if you're selling any product or service and you could target the exact person that you wanted to. I was like, oh wow, this is going to change advertising forever. And then I was like, oh wow, I think
You're hooked. You were hooked, brother, right?
I think Facebook's here to stay. I think they're going to change advertising, and I think they're going to be the next big thing. And lo and behold, history has proven itself out. So it's changed the whole advertising model. And then it sprouted all these other social media brands to, be created. And so 2014, I ended up leaving the nonprofit, or end of 2013, going into 2014. And then I started a social media consultancy. And so from Chicago, I moved back to LA. And one of my first few clients was a luxury publication. The founder actually was a videographer, photographer, did that for nearly 15, 20 years. And had built up a rapport of shooting over 300 hotels and a wide variety of resorts. And he wanted to build up a blog, essentially turned it into a luxury magazine. This is around the time that BuzzFeed and all these publications were leveraging social media to build a brand. And we got in early enough. Within 6 months, took this website from non-existent to 500,000 uniques a month.
Wow.
Built up the Facebook following to about like 300,000 followers, and built up all of the other social media channels as well. So really understood the ins and outs of the media side of the company. And while we were building that up, I became a partner eventually. We turned my social media company, we brought in a couple of other partners, and we turned it into a full service marketing agency, and doing marketing branding work for a wide variety of clients. I mean, we worked with probably over 1,000 brands. And then lo and behold, one of my clients was actually my other co-founder of Mission Matters, Adam. He was actually a financial advisor at that time.
I love that. That's what's so funny is, we think the stereotypical financial advisor and marketing, so opposite, right?
Correct. Well, it's funny because his background was, he was working at the big companies. And when you're in a very regulated industry like that, you can only do so much marketing to put yourself out there. Yeah. He had a little bit less red tape because he started his own firm, his own practice. So it's a little bit different when you're the boss, right? But there's still a lot of regulation that you have to be aware of. And having worked at some big companies, he knew what he could do and what he couldn't do. One of the things that he knew he could do was write a book. And so he went through the painful process. One of the ways, especially if you're in the services industry, it's very competitive, right? If you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're doing like a realtor, for example, there's, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that have that exact same job.
Exactly, right.
It's high paying, but it's, you're competing against someone else that's very much in the same market. So the question is, how do you stand apart, right? And really, if you're in the services space, even in the product space now, it's really, you have to be a thought leader. You have to be an expert. At the end of the day, we're all media brands, right?
That's it. You got to, especially if you're a job seeker, you got to sell yourself, right? That doesn't change.
110%. And you're right. It doesn't. You have to. We're all influencers, right? Like you have all these TikTok stars that are getting millions of followers.
It's so crazy.
And they're getting paid thousands of dollars a month or tens of thousands of dollars.
And they don't work for anybody. That's what's so mind-blowing, that really we are in such an amazing time right now. When you got 10 and 12-year-olds making how much money do you think, like those influencers that are 12 years old?
It depends on how big they're following and how big their engagement is.
But I mean, just imagine. What do you think?
Well, depending on, again, some variables, hundreds of thousands, some of them millions. Some of them might even be making 50,000 to 100,000, but that's
and they don't even have a high school degree or a junior high degree. Okay, I mean, and this is what I'm saying. It just blows this whole construct of how do we earn money, go to school so you can make money. I mean, it is blowing this out of the water. Would you not agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's changed how we do marketing now, right? It's gotten all these kids have blown up TikTok, and now there's all these parents that are trying to catch up with their kids. And,
Uh,
I think we're all so engaged in social media now that it happens
yeah.
so much more quickly, so much faster, right?
God,
Than it
it's so
never has
crazy.
before. So if you think about it, right, like imagine if you're a lawyer, you're an attorney, or let's take Adam's case, right? Let's say Adam he's building this financial advisory practice. He's going out doing the normal sales thing that you do, right? Go to events.
Yo, networking. Oh, jump through all those hoops. Speak,
Correct. It
right?
takes
You pay
years to build
somebody to
it.
speak at a lunch. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Now imagine if you build up your following and you have 500,000 people that are following you because you're creating interesting content. And it just so happens you're a financial advisor. So guess what? Now you're building up an entire marketing funnel. You might be able to make money through ads, through promoting content, you're making money. But the bigger play is funnel them into what your core service is. In his case, it was a financial advisor, right?
That's all right.
And so bringing it back to our story of how we started, Adam was a financial advisor, wrote a book, got opportunities out of it, right? So it's a great way to stand apart. He wanted to write a second book. It was a painful process. And so he approached me and asked me to be a co-author in a book. And the concept was simple. We said, why don't we bring together 15 authors? Let's vet and filter them, make sure that they're all credible and experts in their respective fields. And let's have each of them contribute a chapter. We'll split the cost evenly to get all the authors in the book. Did one book using that concept, took us about 6-7 months to get it completed. And then we wrote a second book using that same concept, a third book. And then we realized we were kind of onto something. So we accidentally launched Mission Matters.
I love
And
it.
that's
It
how
it it actually Mission Matters create allow something else was created out of it, right?
That's correct.
Like that's why I always say there is a non-physical element that when we get connectional intelligence going, right? When two human beings get together or more and they start to do that free thinking, and then all of a sudden there's a third element, a non-physical element that literally you have to take into consideration because there's something else that wants to be literally there's another intelligent element to this that wants to be created. I love that.
It is, yeah. And so from the book, it transitioned into Adam wanting to launch a podcast for his brand. And he started interviewing one person a day. It was a short form interview. It was like a 15-20 minute call. He would record the content and then we launched the podcast. Maybe 2 months in, 2-3 months in, we realized that some of those people that we were talking to were turning into clients for him, for his financial advisory practice, and also for books. Like we had people interested in signing up to become an author in a book. And so
Nice.
we realized there was a direct correlation between the amount of podcast content we were doing and getting clients. Just the guests themselves were becoming clients of ours. And then we increased production. We went from doing one podcast a day to doing 2 to 3 podcasts a day, to then doing 3 to 5, then 5 to 10, and then 10 to 20.
Wow.
Adam's record of recording content was 22 episodes in one day. Now,
Oh my
it was a long,
gosh.
yeah, I think he was in the recording studio for 7.5 hours just recording content.
Oh my gosh. I know what it was like last year after our first summit. I was getting these downloads of, okay, what do we do next?
Mm-hmm.
And got this again, inspired action. Jan, just start recording people, that would be a good match for the HR Disruptor Summit, like other
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs, other HR people, these new businesses coming in, and then creating your next, right? People who have created their next, whatever their story is. So I know we got so much content, rich content that
Mm-hmm.
we have yet to use. So I can't imagine. I mean, when you talk about creating all that, you're like, oh my gosh, you don't realize how much rich assets you have until you just start recording conversations. True?
Correct. No, you're spot on. I mean, look, we've, Adam, I think 2000 episodes in, we had
Oh,
about maybe 30, 40, 50 people ask us about advice on launching their own podcast. We got enough inquiries where we were like, you know what? Why don't we launch a podcast school? Let's teach people how to do this.
That's right. And
completing
I'm going to put this, I'm going to put this in the chat as well. And we're going to put that up. And don't worry, I'm going to, this is your free online podcast course.
We do. That's
then
correct.
We'll put that up there. And so we're also going to be showing that in our after post-event post. So you'll be able to access that directly. So awesome.
Beautiful. Yeah, I want to make sure that anyone that watches this video has access to it, and would love for anyone to sign up for the free course. It's pretty informative. It gives you a pretty good, thorough background on how to jumpstart your own podcast. And it was funny. We had about those students. We needed to beta test the program itself. They went through the program, loved it, and most of them came back to us and said, "Hey, I feel like I got my money's worth, but I don't have any time to actually do any of the work to manage your podcast. It's like, you're teaching me how to do video editing, but I'm busy running my legal firm.
That's
I'm busy being an
exactly right.
I'm
That's exactly right, my friend, because again, I can take so many courses and learn all this, but that doesn't move the dial forward
correct.
and get the activity done, right? It doesn't really progress. I can have all this knowledge, but I need somebody, a physical person, to do it for me.
Exactly. So that's when we realize, hey, you know what? We keep getting people asking us, we're recording about 15 to 20 episodes a day. So about 100 episodes a week. And we're able to edit all the content and publish it on all of our platforms in 72 hours.
Wow. How many people do you have working for you? I mean, that's amazing.
Now we have about 16 staff. So
my gosh.
now it's a full team. Yeah. But at that time, we were like maybe 5-6 people.
I was going to say, you were used to working for the nonprofit and wearing many hats. I know what that's like with our Better Job Fit nonprofit. It's like, okay, what do we need to do? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. Look, all entrepreneurs want to scale their company, right? You don't want to wear multiple hats because you can't scale, right?
That's exactly right.
So what we ended up realizing is we were recording so much content. Most of the inquiries we were getting of people wanting to record content, they were doing 1 episode a week. So we were like, well, that's like nothing. We
can do that too. Yeah, we'll help them with that.
Oh, this is manageable. And then so it took us a few months to figure out the pricing and everything.
A system, right.
And the system on the back end with project managers, client management, and all that. But we've been able to scale up our entire agent, and we launched the podcast agency. We got lucky. And I think, good time, right place, right? Everything kind of fell together because between COVID and then also the new social media platform Clubhouse, which is like a podcast on steroids, element. I think both of those things combined basically was a perfect storm because the whole podcast industry literally tripled in the last year and a half. So there were 1 million podcasts in existence prior to COVID. Our podcast agency launched prior to COVID, actually, funny enough.
Wow.
And now there's almost 3 million podcasts in existence. I think it's 2.8, 2.9 million, something in that range when I last checked a few weeks ago on Apple.
And you know what's interesting? I think, people get into this mindset of competition, right? Like, oh, I can't do, it's saturated. It's like, you know what? There's really no such thing as competition. How many stores sell clothing? I mean, heck, I can go down to the 7-Eleven and go buy a baseball cap and a t-shirt, right?
Well, think about this. How many people have an Instagram account? 1.5 billion? Oh, well, don't you think? Well, so you need to be on Instagram, right? So if just because there's 2-3 million people that have a podcast, there's 7 to 8 billion people in this planet. That means it's an undertapped community. So what's happening in the industry, and this is important, is Amazon acquired a company called Wondery for about $300 million. Facebook in the last 3 to 6 months launched a podcast tab. You know how they had videos, they had photos? They have an icon on every single page on Facebook that says podcasts. So you can upload podcasts. Basically, Facebook is now competing dead on with Amazon, with Google, Apple, and Spotify. And so Facebook launched their own podcasting platform. Spotify paid Joe Rogan $100 million to get exclusivity rights for his podcast content. Michelle Obama got another fat check. I think it was $100 million, give or take.
Isn't that crazy?
So the whole market is just exploding. All the tech giants, they're going heavy, they're investing heavily into the podcast market. There's more companies being grounded up in podcasts. So just the whole market is growing. It's not
I
depreciating.
love
It's
it.
not.
Well, and that's the thing. Is it not a global disruption, right? I mean, 2008 we had the Great Recession. Boy, that just catapulted the what do you call it? We had in 2008 we had the Ubers,
Mhm.
everybody getting a side gig, right?
Correct.
That whole element of business now on a global level after last year, I thought, okay, I don't know if most people know this, but if what happened in 2008 goes on global, like this is going to change the whole entire world on how we think of work, right? And what do we do? I mean, upset and disrupt everything. So that's why I just love when you talk about all this change and again, it's not competition, it's growth. It's growing organically, it's growing out of solution oriented, right?
Correct.
I just think that if you lose the fear, and a lot of people, especially after, look at the Great Resignation.
Hmm.
I mean, people are leaving, they were leaving every 2 years anyway, leaving a job and doing something different. And so many people were saying, oh my God, how can they do that? Like, because there's no fear. And I think more and more people are choosing not to live in fear. And, they're saying, F it, let's just try it. Like, what do I got to lose? Right? Life is too short. True?
Correct. Correct. And you know what's, and I'll bring it back to the basics. Okay. We have really built out written form of content, right? So you have books, you have blogs, you have articles. I think visual is going further, right? We've always had photos and video content. I think the next evolution to that is AR and VR, right? Or mixed reality.
Yep.
So there's a lot of things happening in that space, which make it interesting. But the one other form of medium of how we consume content is audio. That's what's happening right now, and that's why Alexa and Siri and all the tech giants themselves, they're developing and even doing SEO marketing and going heavy into just audio form of content because it's a
Wow.
huge medium of how we consume. It's undertapped very, and it's growing exponentially in Clubhouse and all these social mediums and just the whole podcast industry growing, right? And when I say podcast, it's been around for a long time. The podcast is just a modern version of the radio.
Right. Exactly. On a
It's been
on
around.
a on a mobile device, right?
Correct. Yeah. That's all
That's
it is.
it.
Just now we're all it just become easier
Yep.
for us to become broadcasters
I
in
love it.
video
I
format.
love it.
And so now you're hitting audio, and that's what we're building upon. Is it's a growing industry. All of it is though, even visual content, right? It's evolving into mixed reality, which is converging audio and sound and written and also visual, right? It's bringing it all together
So
and
is that
evolving.
so when you talk about a platform is there one platform that's doing all of that right now, like all in one, or what is this just something that you're seeing that is building up that you see visualize in the future?
Well, that's a lot of. I guess if to answer that question, that's I think the solution that we're tackling. That's the problem we're tackling, right? If we
Got
were
it.
to really narrow it down, it's content marketing, right? The question is, how can you create content and ultimately, as a business owner or as an executive of a company or a business professional, right? You're limited on time. How do you create content and hit every single platform because they're all important?
Right.
That's what we've been ultimately able to tackle at Mission Matters because we've been able to figure this out for ourselves over the last since we started the company from day one, and we've been doing this for
Wow.
years now, and
How
and
many years?
5 going on 6 years.
I love it. I love it to see if you've been doing something 5 or 6 years, and especially the end, going into that 5 and 6 year, you in the middle of a global shift of business and personal evolution. I mean, it can only just bust out. I mean, you guys already got basic processes in place. You know, when you talk about building a business from infancy to go-go, now, like, oh my gosh, you get to be more creative on that tech end and really visualize those upcoming trends. So I'm excited to have you share the rest of your presentation. So thank you.
Absolutely. So, just so everyone knows, right? And I skipped to my bio, but this is Mission Matters. It's our podcast agency, and it's our end-to-end content distribution company. And so, in short, we've now recorded over 4,000 episodes since we launched the company. We have launched well over 100 shows for a wide variety of clients in about 30 different industries. We've have distributed over 40,000 pieces of content. And when I say distributed, it's breaking it down into all the publishing the content on all the podcasting platforms,
Right.
all of the social media platforms, through email newsletter content. We're talking about also through social media, of course, and also written form of content on through blog posts and articles. And so in short, we become an end-to-end content marketing solution for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts to help them create and distribute great content. And so the way that it works, in short, or the reason why folks do this is we realize there's 3 reasons, right? Number one, it hits every form of branding that exists. And to give you an idea, these are 3 of our clients, right? So this is Kirk McLaren. He is focused on creating content for his potential clients, and also to create testimonial content. Then we have Rashad McCants. He's a former NBA basketball player, and now he's focused on rebranding himself to create more business opportunities for himself. And then over here, we have James Wong. He's the president of a publicly traded company called eXp Realty. They have about 70,000 agents, and his whole podcast is focused on leadership. And he's also an avid angel investor. He does a lot of mentorship. And so he wants to diversify his content beyond just real estate, which is what he's been doing for the last 25, nearly 30 years. He wants to transcend it. And so it's a great opportunity to showcase his leadership even beyond what he's doing. Then over here, for a lot of folks, it's a great way to build their business, right? Because you create content, you're going to get more of an audience listening to it, right? Part of it, like similar to Kirk McLaren, he's using his podcast for testimonial content, and also for to bring on prospective clients, right? It's a great way to build it up. And so over here we have Lisa Williams. She's an HR executive, and
see, I love that. That's why I was waiting for my favorite slide. You don't have to be an NBA star. You don't have to be a buku billionaire investor, right? I love this. An HR professional, right?
Correct. Yep, exactly. We have a lot of service providers, right?
Love it.
CFOs, we have legal, we have HR executives, we have realtors, right? They're all, we have clients in just about all these different industries, but it's a great way to separate yourself from all the others that are in your space, because it creates consistent form of content. Then we have Annie Collins. She's a travel blogger. And then we have Charles Smith, another former NBA player. He's really well established in the business world, and he's going to be creating cool content coming up soon. So
nice.
And then last but not least, top distribution, right? It's a great way to distribute content on all of the podcasting platforms, on all of the social media platforms, but then on also major media outlets where you can actually leverage your podcast and get featured in more media outlets. And I'll explain how that works, because that's actually one of the beauties of what we've been able to generate. Really, it started off for ourselves, and now we've been doing it for other clients too.
Nice.
And then last but not least, we realized that because we're a media brand, we want to syndicate and help our clients build their business. So we want to drive traffic from our Mission Matters platform, our website, our newsletter, and social media. We want to drive that traffic right back to our clients to help them and grow.
Nice. So it's really a sustainable model. You're not only helping your clients produce podcasts, books, right, and generate that media awareness, but you're also, it's sustainable where it's on the website to where it's looked at again and again and again.
That's correct. Absolutely.
Awesome.
And I've got a couple of examples I'll share.
Awesome.
On how that works. But in short, our model's simple. It was all of our clients are busy. or a lot of people are in general, right? They already have their day jobs or they already have their
Yeah,
businesses that
we got
they
to
do.
make the money, right? We're doing work making the money.
Correct. So now we want to save them time. All they have to do is record the content. That's the one thing we can't do, right? If you're the face
Right.
of the
Right. You
podcast.
got to be the one to do it. Right.
Exactly. So we make it easy. The goal was always all they have to do is record they show up, they record the content, their job's done. So if they have a 30-minute podcast, they're allocating 30 minutes of their time recording the content. Once the recording is done, they send us the file. That's it. Because our team does the editing. If it's a video or audio, we can do both forms of editing. We can then transcribe it, turn it into a blog post. We can then write a press release based off of that podcast episode. And now we can cut it up into shorter snippets. So now you have social media content. And of course, we're going to publish it on all the podcasting platforms. So we do all of this for our clients. They don't ever have to do anything beyond just recording the interview. So our average client is spending maybe on a monthly basis. Our average client's doing a weekly podcast show. They're spending in total maybe 1 to 3 hours a month total. That's it.
I mean, just to do what they need to do on their part, right? Because that's really what it comes down to. Okay, how much time do I need to allot to do this project, right? And then what else do I have to do to touch it, right? That's kind of how, as an entrepreneur and business owner, right, is like, okay, how much of my time is going to be taken away? Because we can't get that back.
That's correct. It makes things, bottom line is saving time and making it cost affordable. And that's what we've been able to do. And so we developed hundreds of these proposals, listened to our customers, all the inquiries coming in, and we realized that all of the inquiries 95% of them fell into 3 categories. So we realized, oh, this is scalable because this is really all of the inquiries that keep coming in. They want 1, 2, or 3 packages. So we realized, all right, let's actually just develop, and we fine-tune the product. It took us a year or so and a lot of conversations to really hone in on it.
But it does take time because you have to learn what people's needs are, right? It's not something that okay, well, we're going to do it next week and then we don't change it.
Exactly. And that's what we had to do. And so basically we developed these 3 packages. And so option A here is we basically first launched the podcast. That in itself takes about a month, give or take. In this case, our clients are spending 1 to 2 hours a month. All they have to do is set up a call with our creative team. We figure out, and we have an 8-step process. Part of that is figuring out the name of the show, making sure that the podcast host is branded personally as well. So you get personal and business branding together. We develop the graphic of the cover. We help conceptualize what the show is going to be about. We understand who the end audience, who the end listener is, and what types of guests are going to come on the show. We also set up all of the channels. So we actually coordinate the application process on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and we actually manage and set and we write the show description as well, along with submitting the application. We help select the professional actor or actress that's going to record the introduction and the outro for the podcast.
Right. Nice.
We advise what types of advertisements to record so you can insert it in the middle of the podcast or in the beginning or the end. And we also help select the music for the podcast. So we literally walk them through the whole process and do everything for them. And for our clients after that creative call, it's basically just approvals via email. Now, once the podcast is launched, all of our clients get an account manager and a project manager. Their job is to help them develop and improve the quality of the show. So they'll provide suggestions on better questions to ask. They'll provide suggestions on even it could be small suggestions of maybe moving the microphone closer to your face just so we could pick up the audio a little bit better. They'll help improve the quality of the show after each episode comes out, and they'll be there to even help invite guests on the show. Now, one of the beauties of our podcast is that all of our clients, you know how I mentioned we distribute their content through our show. Once the content is recorded and it's published on their platform, our team actually will summarize what that podcast episode is about. And then we'll create an article on our website. The goal is to drive traffic right back to our clients and their content.
Nice.
So every single episode is syndicated and promoted through our platform, and it's driving traffic right back to them. And what we do is we actually create an author page for our clients. So if you go to any of our clients' pages, you'll see a wide variety of shows, right? And so you could see some here, right? Where you know how you see like Adam Launchbox is actually one of our clients. And we actually, if you click on their page, you'll see 2-3 interviews that they've conducted with us. So,
Nice.
example.
That's
So, yeah,
nice.
and then most of our clients, they want a weekly show. So we do it for up to 1 to 4 episodes a month. We're able to even record content beyond weekly. We have some clients that want it 2-3 times a week. No problem. Our team can handle that, considering we're still producing, about 75 to 100 episodes a month just for a week. I mean, for Mission Matters.
Right. Just for your company
Just for
alone.
our own content, we're producing that much content. If we were to do a comparison, all of our clients combined, and I think we're still producing a little bit more content than all of our clients combined right now.
Wow.
Maybe I think it's safe they've taken over officially, but it's pretty dang close because we're
Wow.
to a lot of content.
Well, and if you would share the story about the couple that under Cool Times podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jenna and Vince Free, they are very interesting people, right? They're not just cool people, right? The reason why it's called the Cool Times podcast is because they generate the refrigerators and they actually set up the cooling systems in warehouses and grocery stores like Walmart or Whole Foods. And they actually set up that massive refrigerator. It's very expensive. It costs a lot of money, but their business has been booming, especially during COVID. And the way that they utilize their podcast is they're talking to prospective clients and highlighting what happens in the grocery store and in supply chain. That's really what they discuss.
I
So
love it. I
very,
love it. See, that's what I'm
very,
talking about. That's
yeah,
just normal husband and wife team. That's their business to go and, sell commercial refrigeration, right? And installation to stores, etc.
hmm
And they decide, hey, I mean, we're gonna create our own podcast. I mean, people now can look at them differently. You see what I'm saying? It's not just this
yep,
couple that they own a business and it's refrigeration. Like I know Jane and Jim. Do you know them? They run such and such company, and they have a podcast called Cool Podcasts or Cool Times. Right now, there's more of a story connected to the people. Right?
correct.
I love that.
That's
I love that.
exactly it, right? And what do you think happens if when they're consistent with the podcast and 2-3 years in, when they built up this bigger audience and people just find out who they are organically without them having to even talk to anyone, they're getting referrals because they're just creating content on their podcast. So it's a
And
very integrated play with their business.
well, and with when I had the one client that he was in transition, right? The HR, uh, he wasn't an executive yet. He was moving up from a senior position, but he wanted to go to like a VP position. And when he wanted to start this podcast, he was just talking to people, right? He just wanted to talk to different people about relationshiping. Like that was the term that he and I played off of, relationshiping. So people got to know him for a year from his podcast. And that's why I just love people, especially now, if they feel called to start their own podcast and start sharing this experience rich information that they've been collecting and earning, so to speak,
Mhm.
for 15 years, 10, 15 years in a certain industry. Now's the time to really start sharing your story and getting known on so many different levels, right? It's all about that story and how you relationshiping, right? And how are you being seen in the world? So that's what I love about that cool couple, because that it's just so unusual from the type of business that they own to their
Mhm.
image from a podcast couple, right?
Correct. And it's funny you mentioned that because there's a lot of niches, right? I'm sure we've
Yeah.
all, or many of us have heard the term, the riches are in the niches, right?
Yes.
I'm trying to make it
Yes.
so. So there's podcasts on gardening, there's podcasts on cooking, there's podcasts on light bulbs. I mean, there's
Light
podcast
bulbs? Are you kidding me?
light, yeah.
I
I've heard
love it. That's what I'm
random
saying.
podcasts.
Don't underestimate the power of whatever topic that you are feeling called to or that really excites you. My friends, there are going to be hundreds and thousands of people out there that once they find you, they're going to be connecting to you. They probably dig it too, right? I mean,
It's true though. It's true.
it is. It is. Okay, I'm
So
sorry. Go to plan B.
plan B. All right. So plan B is the next evolution. It includes video. And when I say video, it could be a simple Zoom call just like this. And I'll give you an example. I know I'm zooming in, so it's not as clear because I'm going very enlarging this. But if you look at the quality of our show, right, this was actually a Zoom call. In post production, our team added the banner and we wanted it to look like Bloomberg, like a.
I love it. Yes.
So in post production, we can make it look like whatever you want it to. And it could just be a simple Zoom call. So you could be at the comfort of your home. So send us a Zoom recording, right? You're going on a Zoom call, pressing the record button. Once the recording is done, you send us the file, your job's done. That's it. And so in post-production, our team can do video editing is option B, and it includes social media. So our team actually will publish the content on our clients' social media platforms. So on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
So they're doing the post, the editing, and posting.
That's correct. And we create a teaser video. What I mean by that is there's a 30 to 60 second teaser video. It could be 15 seconds up to 60 seconds, right? Depending on the platform and depending on the content, right? Quality. We find what's the one like soundbite that's going to get people interested. So they'll listen to the full podcast recording. That's nice. So our team will create the social media cut and we'll edit the full video and we publish it on all of the podcasting platforms and the social media platforms and our website on Mission Matters. So syndicated through there. So
awesome. So it's the podcast launch and then you're doing the video, social media cuts, right? That gets the teaser and then posting it and distributing it through your own platform, but also the clients posting, meaning YouTube, if they're Facebook, etc.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yep. Spot on. And our team, because it's a video, right? We actually will customize and we'll create a graphic for the client as well. So that's in the podcast launch. We help figure that out.
Nice.
And then just to give you an example, Janet Chihoki is a communications executive. So she's in PR and communications. And then Kevin Richards is a financial advisor. And so he has his own financial advisory firm. And so he's also very active in creating content as well. So it gives you a wide variety of different clients that we work with, but also gives you an idea of what type of person would a podcast make sense for, right? I mean, I've shown you, I think just from the examples, there's about like 10 different industries that we're covering here, or maybe like 7 or 8, right?
I love that. So let me ask you this, when it comes to, doing a podcast or choosing to do it, like, do you work with them to help people find what their niche is? Or do you help like through the brainstorming process? Do you or members of your team sometimes see those nuances that maybe the person or the client doesn't see and they kind of bring it out?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think that's the beauty, right? When you record 4,000 episodes.
Yeah.
Adam, it's a 10,000 hour rule, right? Like,
no, it is. It is.
It works really well. I think we've fast tracked it, right? Where we've learned the ins and outs of production, but it's not just production, it's audience building. And it's also providing value to your listener and to build a community around it, right? So there's so many different things that we've been able to learn just because we're producing and creating so much content at scale. And we're working with so many different types of clients. We've learned a lot. So what ends up happening, we don't charge for consulting. The consulting is already included in our packages, in everything that we do. That's the reason why they have an account manager and project manager. And again, because we have so many clients and because we're producing so much content for our own platform, it's not expensive. It's actually not as expensive as people think.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I really want people to understand. It's so easy to look at all this and say, oh, I can't afford it, right? Like, we're going to be giving you Chirag's real live number that he doesn't give out to anybody, okay? Only to our HR Disruptor Summit viewers. And you're going to be able to schedule time with him to talk about, okay, share a little bit about what you're doing or whatever. And he's going to be able to give you the scoop and to blow it out of the water to show you that this isn't really as expensive as you think, right? It
Right.
is doable. And that's what really, one of the reasons why I wanted to collaborate and bring you on to the program, because I really want people to understand that it is not expensive to do this. And when you talk about, there are people that are going to spend a year. Do I take my part of my 401k to spend a year looking for a job, or do I take part of my 401k, which is really, you shouldn't have to, okay? It's because it's
Correct.
not that much. Do I
Right.
invest it in myself? That's really what it comes down to. Do I take money to spend to look for a job, or do I take money and invest in myself to do this? Which, as Seth, said when he did his podcast, this is fun, right? We want to be able to have you do something fun, create something that's going to work for you and help build up your brand, your notoriety, your experience, but
Mhm.
also you're going to have fun doing this, right? That's what I love about it. You're going to take all the work away, most of the work away, and it's going to be fun.
Exactly. And you know what? Not only that, but the question is, right? And I know you're talking, and this is usually the most common question I get asked, right? Is, well, what's my ROI for my podcast? So I do have an example that I can share in detail. But
I like that.
with option C, what this includes is PR. What our team essentially ends up doing is, on each episode that comes out, our team will write a press release based on what the content was about. And then our team distributes that press release. Now, just because of my background, I've been doing, marketing branding work for over a decade now. So I've
You
had
got relationships.
tons of relationships, right, that I've been able to carry into this. And we've been able to build relationships, right? We've been doing this for 5-6 years, and we're a media outlet too. So we work with a lot of other media outlets where we syndicate their content, they syndicate our content. So we've got relationships. Secondly, we do media buying. So we do spend money on ads on other media platforms. And thirdly, we do publish the content on PR Newswire. So what we guarantee to each of our clients is that every single time a press release is published, we provide a full media distribution report, and we'll guarantee at least 100 media outlets will pick up the story.
Nice.
Some big, some national outlets, many local, regionalized outlets as well. Combination of both. But our team writes the press release. All they have to do is approve the content. So now, to give you that one example, and I have an amazing example with Rani Katterpal. So she, a year ago, actually published the book with us in October 2020. Then
Oh, of
we,
all times, right? Of all
yep.
times to publish a book, you think?
Yeah, I know.
It's
Yeah,
perfect.
perfect timing. And so her book was published in October 2020. We coordinated a whole PR campaign, and then she launched her podcast in December 2020. Okay. Her second interview was with the president of the American Oncology Association. So this is the president of top, you know,
What's
of
the
all the.
background? What is her background again?
She's in healthcare.
Okay,
And
that's
so
what she's in healthcare, right?
she's been in the healthcare industry for over 20 years, almost 25 years. And she was working for a mid-sized healthcare company as their VP of growth and innovation. Her job was to connect with doctors and coordinate some interesting, innovative strategies so they can connect with more hospital networks, right?
Right.
So she launched the book was to establish her as a thought leader so she can connect with more doctors when she's reaching out to them. She has authority now, a little bit more authority. Then she launched the podcast, so she had value that she could provide to folks. And so we strategically, when we spoke to her in our initial creative call and when we were setting up the podcast, we told her that it's very smart to bring on presidents of associations, and you can get their attention because they're looking for publicity. They want to promote the association. So the type of doctor she was specifically looking for were oncologists. So she gave us the information about of the president of the association. We reached out to him on her behalf. That's part of the account manager's job.
Love it.
They don't have to reach out to them, and it helps because if you have someone that's representing you, it makes it look a lot bigger. Now, here's the secret. Ronnie didn't have much of an audience prior to working with us. She was just newly launched in the media world. Like, she's an amazing executive. She's great at what she does. But, it's
Not a lot of people knew about her, right? She knew
exactly.
she was well known in her industry, but not outside that bubble.
Exactly. And so when we launched the podcast, we reached out to the doctor directly and informed him that her content is distributed through Mission Matters and through our platform. And we reach millions of people. And so when we approached him to be a guest on her show, even though she didn't really have many numbers to represent, we did. So that's how we
Yeah.
could get him on her show, because that's the reason why we syndicate and why it's a big I would say a big, I guess it's a power play, but it's a partnership really, where
It's
you get to learn
leveraging,
more.
right? You really are
Yeah,
leveraging and collaborating. That's what I like about it, because
correct.
again, it's leveraging the strengths, right? I
Exactly.
mean, hello, she is known in her industry, but she wants to get known nationally or globally, right?
Correct.
You got the audience already. I mean, that's where these a lot of people need to really embrace more these JV agreements, right?
Ex-
Joint ventures. It's about collaboration and leveraging one another's strengths. That's what it is, people, right? There's
Correct.
nothing woo woo illegal about it, or sneaky. This
Nope.
is about collaborating and leveraging.
Exactly. Now here's the beauty. He was her second guest on her show. Her first podcast episode was a 10-15 minute introduction. Her first official interview was with the president of the association. Once the interview went live, we coordinated a whole PR campaign. We sent him a full PDF with all of the hyperlinks that he received. He wasn't expecting, and nor the association were they expecting to get that much PR coverage. So that was like a little secret,
A little
little,
perk for
yeah,
them,
what do you call that?
right?
Yeah,
A
that was
little
like, oh,
share the
wow.
love, share the love.
Exactly. They were like, oh, wow, this is great. We're featured on a podcast, but oh, wow, we just got featured in Yahoo and we got all these major
Yeah,
publications that have picked up our story. What? How did this happen?
yeah.
And then they promoted, of course, the association promoted the episode through the association itself, through the newsletter. She had 6 or 7 doctors reach out directly to be guests on her show. And then she actually had a couple of them become clients of hers. This all happened within 3 months of working with us.
I
So
love it.
the money that she invested into her podcast, she made way more than that.
I love it.
I
I
mean,
love it.
this
And
all
that's what
happened
we're
within three
saying.
months of working with us.
Taking the risk of showcasing, we have no choice right now. You got to start doing something different to stand out. It doesn't matter whether you're looking for a job, you want to take your, mid-level career to the next level, you're experience rich, you're, thinking of, I want to leave, or I'm fine, okay, at least for 3 years maybe, before I got to retire or they get rid of me, right? You got to be creating your next. It's
Correct.
best to create it, because it's not about finding a job. It hasn't been about finding a job. It's about co-creating and collaborating with thought leaders like you, Chirag, and Mission Matters, and saying, okay, I got this great idea, but is it really possible? Could I really do it? Like, I just love that you are taking regular folks and being able to put them out there and showcase them. And it really is helping all the way around. It's really making people's dreams, like thinking, oh, I'm just a nobody, to you're somebody. You just need to start believing in yourself and connect with those resources that can help you do it. Right?
Correct. Yep.
Oh my gosh, I just love this.
Do you want to know what the cherry on top is? Because I know we're
What?
at the HR Disruptor Summit, right?
I know you are. You are. Tell me.
So within 6 months of working with us, right? She got the clients, things are going well. She got back all of the money that she invested, right? Ultimately, into the podcast. Within 6 months of working with us in April 2021, so literally 6 months ago, she was headhunted herself by CVS, is now their head of trade innovation and growth.
Snap. I love it. And they reached out to her?
Yeah, a headhunter found some media outlets and some content on her. They reached out. Now, I'm not taking any credit for.
No. But you got to understand,
But they found it.
It's that
Yeah.
momentum building,
Correct.
right? Unexpected opportunity. You don't know where this goes, right? You don't
Correct.
know what
You have no idea
email.
who's listening
You
to it. You
have
don't
no
know.
idea.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we get squirreled up. One of the many ways we think we discount and go, oh, not a lot of people listen. Or no, I don't listen to it, so nobody else does. You know what? We have got to stop thinking linear. The world is unexpected opportunity and there are no limits. So why should we start putting limits on our opportunity or what's possible, right? That is
No,
a
you're spot
great
on.
story. I love that. I forgot about that. She got headhunted and for CVS. She left her mid-level career and went to a global franchise or a national franchise, right? CVS. Are you
A
kidding
Fortune
me?
500
That is
company.
within 6 months.
6 months of working with us.
I love, and but it also got her opened up to see what her
What the
opportunities were.
possibilities are.
Yes,
Yes.
she
So
didn't
it
limit herself. She started to take risks. She started to see that she was connecting. Her confidence level went up. And look what she manifested. Oh my gosh, I love that. I forgot
she's
about her. Thank you for bringing her up.
Yep, absolutely. And not only that, but she is also in the process of being headhunted again,
Of course.
a bigger position.
And
And
that's since 2020,
this is
October of 2020.
1 year working with us. And just to just to add this, she's going to be launching a second podcast with us on this is a personal passion of hers, but she's gotten so much value from the original podcast. She's actually going to be launching a second one with us.
I love it. But you see how that creativeness,
It did.
that right side of the brain and keeping that creativeness flowing and it's feeding her. It has to be two ways. And I just see that
Correct.
that really just allows individuals to expand and grow. And I know ourselves, if we're not really tapping in to that creative free thinking side and doing things like this, when you and I originally got together and just start free thinking about possibilities,
Hmm.
if people are not doing that, they're not growing, right? That's what you need to do first to start seeing those possibilities. So that's why I just love this, especially her story and sharing her journey about how this just got her out and she blossomed. I just love that. Thank you, Chirag. That is just an awesome story. And you best be taking credit for it because, again, your love and passion and what you all do there, and you're working in your strengths of what you do best and how that's just working with other people to bring out their best. It's a win-win. How can it not be successful? I mean, that's just a no flipping brainer, right?
Absolutely. And it's interesting because that's the whole point, right? I mean, that's why our company is called Mission Matters, and our
I love
tagline
it.
is "We amplify stories." Ultimately,
I
that's
love it.
ultimately what we're here to do.
I love it. Well, do you have another slide? Oh, I know. I want you to put up your link. We went,
Yes.
gang. I want to share with the audience. First of all,
So
we
this
had
short,
no idea that this was going to go, our conversation was going to go this long. Thank
yep,
you so much for hanging in there. We got rich conversation today. So I'm so excited. But go ahead and give us the download there, my friend.
yeah. So look, we've got our three packages, right? So option A in summary is the audio podcast. Option B is the video podcast with social media included, and option C is includes PR with us managing a video podcast audio as well, along with the social media. And then of course we launch the podcast. You get our strategy, our advice, our consulting, and you get two project managers or a project manager and account manager that are actively involved. Basically, we are more cost effective than it's more affordable to hire our entire team versus hiring one employee to do all
That's
this work.
right.
It's
That's
more affordable
exactly
to
right.
us.
And so, and it just can be per project only, right? You're not hiring somebody for a year.
Correct. Yeah.
So like for a project, so the first project is how long you think? So if you told me time wise.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way that we coordinate it and we advise is you want to at least do this for 6 months because you need consistent content out there to get value out of this.
Right.
Otherwise, it's not going to make sense. Otherwise, you can't go into a podcast thinking, "Oh, I'm going to do 4 episodes and call it a day." You're not going to get value out of that, and it's not going to make sense. Whereas you want to be consistent. So we always recommend 6 months, and then it goes into month to month with us thereafter. And then you could you can, whenever you decide, you can stop services. But I will mention that we have a 95% retention rate.
So meaning after that 6 months, 95% of the people continue on to do either another project or continue on
They
to
just
build
continue on with
up
the
their,
same. Yeah,
right?
they continue with the service. It never stops, right? Because they're getting the
Wow.
advice, the consulting. But the bigger play is that we are investing heavily into our own platform right now. We've hired on an entire SEO marketing company. We're going to be spending some substantial money in the next several months on ads, on advertising. So we're going to
Nice.
build up our audience. Guess what ends up happening to all of our clients?
It's just a win-win. That's again, I love when companies start to invest, and we got to schedule a call to offline for you and I to have another call, because we're taking our HR Disruptor Summit to the next level. And so when you see a company or an organization invest in themselves, that then automatically supports the audience or their members or their community like that, that's just a big sign that they're on the right path, right? They're creating that sustainable model that keeps on feeding that whole process. So I'm excited to learn more about that offline when we schedule another call. But so you got to put the number down there, my friend. Where is this number? Okay.
Oh, yep. Well, this is contacting me directly, right? If for anyone that has questions, happy to answer, happy to clarify anything that I've gone over, and see how we might be able to help you. In terms of the length of the contract, though, to answer your question, it's 6 months. We always recommend you do need to do 6 months at least to get value out of this.
Agreed. Yep. That momentum has to be there. You can't, it's not a one and done, people. That's not a one and done.
Exactly. It's not at all a one and done. And this is a long-term play. Everyone is sticking around with us. It's the reason why we have a 95% retention rate, is because our goal and part of our conversation is to figure out, how do we make sure that you're getting your money right back in the first several months here? So that you don't even, at that point, it's just a reinvestment, because now it's just paid itself off. That's our ultimate goal, is to figure out, how do we make sure that you're getting your money back right from the get-go?
I love it.
That's part of our setup process.
I love it. And so you're going to share that information right there.
Correct.
Is a direct line to Chirag that only HR Disruptor Summit people know. Okay. So he knows you're coming from the summit. Make sure you let him know. You can schedule with him directly there, and I will copy and paste that and put it in the event post, so you have that information. But definitely mention that you saw Chirag at the summit, and he'll make sure he hooks you up. All right. So definitely thank you so much, my friend, for coming. And I look forward to scheduling a call with you afterwards. And again, my friend, thanks for sharing really your strengths and mission matters. Just really appreciate you today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And again, happy to answer any questions, and looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Everybody, thanks again for staying late with us. And we're going to be posting the recording later and the contact information. Again, thank you again for being here with us. And remember, next week, the summit, we got our last 3 or 4 sessions. We'll end our last summit event is November 11th. So stay tuned. We got 3 more. All right, everybody, have a great day and take care.
Thank you.